Good morning.
Good morning.
So, this is not going to be much of a stretch. But then again, if you start feeling uncomfortable, then it may be working. Here we are on a planet called Earth. And we've been here for so long, we think we've got things pretty well figured out. I see some heads shaking no. But if we were to venture just beyond this range of open receptivity, we'd probably experience a totally different response. And that is because on this planet, everything looks real. It feels real. It seems real. I mean, rocks, you drop a rock in the water and the water's going to splash. You're going to see ripples. You're going to see fish swimming in the water, but very few fish swimming in the air. And that's because we've grown accustomed to 3D, third dimensional reality, or the third density. Well, what if it's just meant to be that way, but it really isn't as it seems to be? What if it isn't really solid? What if it's something else that our five physical senses lack to discern until we make a shift in our relationship to it and then start experiencing that it is other than it seems to be? Well, we're talking right now about consciousness. Because you see, this planet of this solar system, of this galaxy, of this universe is one of many. By the way, there are many other universes. Take my word for it. I know, that's a stretch of the imagination right there. But let's consider now that there's a possibility that this is designed exactly the way it's meant to be, so that we will get engaged in playing the game on the planet as it's being played, so that we can actually gain experiences through how we play it. If you pay another attention to this, you're going to notice that here on this planet, we're constantly being presented with which way we're going to choose to invest our energy. Are we going to invest our energy for ourselves, or are we going to invest our energy for others? Constantly, that's being offered up. If you look at, just one arena to give you an idea, of sports. That's pretty much a manifestation, an outpicturing of service to self. I mean, these poor guys that get paid millions of dollars to offer up a service to the rest of us so we can engage in feeding our faces and so on and so forth that we do while we're watching them struggle to make these millions of bucks. Quite a twist on reality, isn't it? Okay. So you look at this and you see that here we have two primary focuses that are being offered up to us, to where eventually we do make a choice and we commit ourselves. We're either going to be self-serving or we're going to be serving others. Now, once we make that commitment, then we begin to make adjustments in our priorities. And these adjustments that we make in our priorities then get us to where we become very centered and very focused. Up to then, we're just bouncing around. We haven't really committed ourselves to anything for any length of time sufficient for us to develop this focus of attention. But no big deal. We've got all the time we need. You see, we're eternal beings. So if you think it's got to all be done in one lifetime, then you're putting yourself under a lot of unnecessary pressure. You've been here before, you'll be here again. Perhaps hundreds of times. until eventually you do get a focus down, and you've learned enough to back up that focus with actual experience. So if you do get this focus, then what's happening is you start slipping into another frame of your sense of self, to where you become much clearer about your objectives. And if you're going to serve yourself, by God, you're going to serve yourself. You're going to get ruthless. You're going to take advantage. You're going to use everything at your fingertips to make this happen to where you get what you want. And the same is true is if you commit yourself to serving others. You're going to get very focused and learn that it is that giving is the way to actually put yourself into this aspect of serving. Now, what's happened here is there's a shift from a third dimension focus to a fourth dimension focus. And this focus is one that has an attending clarity but a lack of balance. Now, this isn't just individually that I'm speaking of, you see, because there are worlds that these realities exist in, and the whole society is involved in this type of focus. But there is this other part that I haven't mentioned yet that's also at play, and that is with the developing of these emphasis approaches, there are roles that are played in these societies. And the roles of primary significance are victim, perpetrator, and rescuer. And they're carried out unconsciously, to where everyone, because of this sense of separation, feels that they are a victim of circumstance. They do not remember, they do not realize that they are the creator of their lives. That requires a whole nother set of awakening to occur. Now, these roles that I mentioned, victim, perpetrator, and rescuer, they aren't happening here, so you don't have to worry about it. Everything's cool on this planet. Everybody respects everybody else. Nobody has a victim consciousness. Everybody realizes they are creators. No big deal. Okay? Well, I don't want you to start biting your fingernails right now. You might bleed to death. My God, what will you do? So I want you to realize that this that I'm speaking of is occurring on this planet. And if you live long enough and as many lifetimes as are necessary, you're going to get to a place eventually to where you start leaving your head and you start entering your heart. And why do I make such a big deal? Because in reality, it is a big deal. To make a shift from head focus to heart focus, to start even remotely considering more than gaining something for yourself, to love someone or something for the sake of loving them, that's almost radical, you know. Or to consider loving yourself as much as you love others. You see, here we have the balance coming up again. And it is, you cannot take, and not give. You burn out. Any more than you can give, and not receive. Again, you burn out. Individually and collectively. It's a lesson that is learned, and when we learn that there is this universal law of balance that reveals itself through you choosing to live in balance with it by giving and receiving proportionately, it doesn't really register, and it leaves you at a deficit. Consciousness. Stimulating consciousness. Our consciousness is being stimulated right now to come to a place of realizing we are not really victims. That's only a role we choose to play. And we're not perpetrators and rescuers. They're just roles that we play, that we project ourselves into without fully being conscious in the projection. What happens when you start paying attention to what you're doing? What happens when you start paying attention to what happens as a result of what you're doing? A lot of things happen. A lot of really important, significant things happen. You start realizing that you, unwittingly or wittingly, are without a doubt the creator of your life. And if you wish to continue playing the unconscious game of subject to your creation, and like that feeling victim, then you can play it until you get tired of it. But here's a nice thing. You've got a friend that's going to be going with you the whole way. And that friend's name is suffering. It is a friend. You see, suffering, it has a noble purpose. It truly does have a noble purpose. It is for the evolution of consciousness and the burning up of ego. Because there's not a one of us who after a while, maybe a couple of hundred lifetimes down the road, say, I've had it with suffering. I don't want to suffer anymore. What have I got to do to get out from this pain of suffering? And when we start looking, guess what? We find it's possible. We actually can create at least a few seconds where we're not suffering. And with a few seconds, we get that under our belt until where after a while we realize, I can extend this. I really can. We start realizing that everything that we have held in here between our ears, we have made ourselves subject to it. And a lot of it has to do with fear. A lot of it has to do with anxiety, a worry, concern, rage. Got your attention, right?
Yeah.
It's because we're used to that kind of programming, you see. But you see, that you could say is a cluster of energy that we integrate into our patterns and behavior. And it really doesn't have anything to do with who we truly are. When we begin to start paying enough attention to settle down and see that we can take that out of our framing and insert love, joy, peace, harmony, well-being, respect, compassion. And we actually start integrating those into the deeds that we do, the thoughts that we think, the feelings that we feel. We notice that life responds. And we make that really important discovery. But it isn't that out there that's determining our fate. It's this in here that is always the fate determiner. So here we are, and I just stopped you at the fourth. You get to the place of recognizing the balance, and you enter into becoming a 5D being. But please don't think that 5D is the end of it. That's just recognizing a balance. You can actually go a step farther and still stay in a physical form and reach what is called a 6th density consciousness. Imagine now, you still get to experience yourself in a physical body, but you've changed the way the game is played because you change the way you play it. It's still a game and you recognize it as a game. But instead of creating to avoid pain, you start creating for the joy of what you create. Has anyone ever reached that? Yes, we all have. To a certain extent, we've all experienced that. It has been confirmed in our experience that this is so. And it isn't that life has said, ooh, you can't enjoy yourself too much, I'm going to take that away from you. No, instead we go back into unconsciousness. We forget. So this is a way in which we're awakening. You can wake up and really stay awake. Or you can wake up and go back to sleep, wake up and go back to sleep. But keep moving in the awakening direction. After a while, it's a funny thing. But after a while, you start paying attention to what's going on in here and what's going on out there. And you are much more at ease with it all. And in your ease, you're able to be clear. To where it doesn't matter what you do or you don't do. In your moments of clarity, you can just be at ease with what is and not suffer because somebody isn't doing what you want them to do. Instead of wah, wah, it's okay. It truly is. Imagine now that this is the direction that you're heading, because you see, all of this is about our spiritual evolution. And we're all involved in it, you see. We're all involved in this. We are all truly waking up. And no matter how long or how short the duration is. And time, isn't that a nice thing? Isn't time on your side?
Yes.
That was an underwhelming response. Anyhow, time is on our side. But it's also a part of this dimensional reality, okay? Can you imagine? I know this is a stretch. But can you imagine going somewhere and there are no clocks? The time is not a frame of reference? Okay, I know. So anyhow, let's just get to this place to where we realize in this awakening there is an intelligence to everything, seen and unseen. And it is unconditionally in our favor. And the reason that it is because we happen to be it. It happens to be us and is learning about itself as we have our experiences. And remember the statement I made earlier? This is one planet, one solar system, one galaxy, one universe, of which there are many. Could it be that we're not the only inhabited planet in everything? Could it be that there are an infinite number of other us's who are simultaneously engaging in the same thing or similarly experiencing self that is all an amassing of sources of wisdom, information, self-awareness? So the next time you happen to be at a lake and you look down in the reflection and you see this reflected back up to you, and you have your thoughts and you have your feelings about it, that's recorded. Everything you think, say, feel, do. It's recorded. And it is unconditionally accepted and loved by a higher part of you who is completely aware of everything you're choosing. Stimulating consciousness. I hope your consciousness has been stimulated just a little today. Thank you.
Yes. For more information about the Metaphysical Church of Enlightenment or the Rodin Foundation, please go to our website at www.rodin.org. If you have been inspired by the revelations shared in these podcasts, please donate to the Rodin Foundation's ongoing efforts to help others help themselves at www.rodin.org/donate.